this.
These persons who brought us to court are not members of our party. The documents representing membership of our party is filed at INEC, and today the court has graciously dismissed their appeal. We will forgive them for their sins against humanity. But today is a day that we will celebrate freedom and democracy in Rivers State.
We're excited that as a party we are back on the ballot and we are free to go ahead with our campaigns and begin to enforce our rights as aspirants in this election. And right now, Rivers people have the right, they have options to choose from.
In a related development, the appeal court in Port Harcourt has dismissed the appeal filed by the APC in Rivers State against the judgment of the Federal High Court in favor of the PDP and its governorship candidate, Sim Fubara. The APC had filed a suit at the Federal High Court asking the court to direct INEC to disqualify the governorship candidate of the PDP for allegedly violating the Electoral Act by not duly signing the list of candidates of the party and for submitting the same later than the stipulated time. But the suit was struck out by the Federal High Court, presided over by Justice Emmanuel Odile for lack of jurisdiction. In the meantime, an appeal court in Port Harcourt has affirmed the judgment of a Federal High Court which struck out the suit filed by an aspirant of the PDP for the Kana-Gokana Federal Constituency, Legbosi Yamabana, against PDP and its candidate, Dumnamene Deko. Recall that Justice Phoebe Ayuwa of a Federal High Court in Port Harcourt had in her judgment ruled that Mr. Yamabana lacks the locus standi to approach the court, having not participated in the PDP primaries for the Kana-Gokana Federal Constituency. Well, the court also insisted that he was not able to prove his case of unlawful exclusion. But the three-man panel of appeal in their judgment, delivered by the lead judge, Justice Mohammed Lawal Shuaibu, agreed with the judgment of the Federal High Court and struck out the appeal. Correspondent Soibi Oruwari reports that Fremagbo Walmate, lawyer to the appellant, shortly after the court's proceedings, said he will obtain the judgment and study it to advise his client accordingly.
But this case, in my mind, appears to be different because we approached the court before even the primary election was conducted. And we've not gotten the fuller details of the judgment. By the time we read through the judgment, we should be able to know the other reasons behind the decision of my lords. But at this point in time, what we can say clearly is that the judgment of the lower court, that is the Federal High Court, has been affirmed by the Court of Appeal, Port Harcourt Division.
The Director for Youth Mobilization Officer, Atiku Okowa campaign team in Rivers State, Reno Owokire, says gunmen shot at his mouth last night. Mr. Owokire said this in a short live video with blood dripping from his injured mouth. The incident is said to have happened when he was on his way home in Alu, Ikwere local government area of Rivers State. When narrating the incident, an eyewitness told newsmen that the gunman shot at Owokire's vehicle tires before shooting in his direction through the windscreen. He said Mr. Owokire is in pain and currently receiving treatment at an undisclosed medical facility. The police have not spoken on this. The Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, today met with commissioners of police and heads of police formations in Abuja to strategize on election security. The meeting was held at the force headquarters in Abuja. Now, at the meeting, the IGP emphasized the need to enhance actionable intelligence gathering and sharing, coordinated operations, and the adequate deployment of personnel and resources by all relevant security agencies and stakeholders in the election process. Still ahead, banks in Port Harcourt yet to begin giving out new notes. Stay tuned. sentenced to death by hanging an Islamic cleric, Abdul-Jabbar Nasiru Kabara, who was charged with blasphemy. The judge, Ibrahim Yola, delivered the judgment in a court session that lasted over 2 hours. The court also banned radio and television stations from broadcasting works produced by the cleric and ordered the state government to confiscate the 2 mosques belonging to Abdul-Jabbar. The Senate and House of Representatives Committees on Niger Delta have screened Loretta Onochie as chairman of the Niger Delta Development Commission NDDC board. Ms. Onochie, a special assistant on social media to President Muhammadu Buhari, was screened by the joint committees alongside 13 others for NDDC board roles. The Senate and House of Representatives Committees on Niger, In business, as the new Naira notes go into circulation today, our correspondent visited some banks around the Rumokoro axis of Port Harcourt and observed that the banks are yet to start giving out the new notes. Well, some curious customers spoke to Nigeria Info.
As at now, it's still the old notes. As I say, the money go show. Now I make account today, go and check whether I go see the money.
But a bank staff showed our correspondent the new CBN, which is why the old notes are still being given out in the banks. Well, as you may know, in the moment, the bus conductor expressed dissatisfaction with a customer who paid him with the new 1,000 Naira note. In the video, the conductor quickly rejects the money on grounds that he has not seen it before and he does not know of it. He was, however, talked into accepting the money by other passengers in the bus. In entertainment, Henry Cavill will no longer portray Superman in the DC film universe, despite having previously said he would. He announced his exit from the franchise via his Instagram account. In sports, former Wimbledon champion Boris Becker has been released from prison after serving 8 months for hiding £2.5 million worth of assets and loans to avoid paying debts.
And now, we'll bring you news from around the world.
U.S. President Joe Biden has announced billions of dollars in support and investment for Africa at a summit with the continent's heads of state. President Biden told the 49 African leaders attending the Washington, D.C. meeting that the United States is all in on Africa's future. Well, it is the first such gathering hosted by Washington for 8 years. The summit is seen as a U.S. attempt to reassert its influence in Africa to counter Chinese involvement. And that's the news, but before we go, another look at the major stories. On the news this evening, you heard that the appeal court has cleared all Rivers APC candidates to contest in 2023. Gunmen have shot a youth leader in Rivers State. The Senate has screened the nominees for NDDC board chairman and members. On the foreign scene, U.S. President Joe Biden has announced billions of dollars in support and investment for Africa. The news was edited by Martha Okere. Cloudy weather expected in Port Harcourt this evening. Collect your PVC and vote. Your vote is your voice. My name is Constance Mega. Thank you for listening. Good evening.